Thank you to the one guy clapping. I appreciate you. Hello, everybody. My name is Simon Taylor. I run by day a newsletter called fintechbrainfood.com. I also work for Sardine, the world's best fraud and compliance AI detection software. So, as we enter the AI century, I believe to capitalize on the opportunity of being the best hub, you need three things. You need identity infrastructure, finance infrastructure, and of course, AI capability. Two out of those three are what I would define as fintech, because you cannot have money movement without having identity infrastructure, even if it's analog. Now, today I'm going to talk about the burgeoning hub you already have. I'm standing here in ADFW, and I am blown away by the energy and excitement and the warm welcome. I think then the things you need to deliver on the AI future of fintech, how other hubs benchmark, and then a couple of recommendations to close us out. So you do have a burgeoning fintech hub, but you also have an amazing, amazing region that you're a part of. And the UAE especially is already investing in its wider neighbors and regions in an incredible way. But what blows me away about the demographics is in an aging world, you have the best average age of population. You have a digitally savvy population who like video games, who are young, who are digitally aware, and a massive investment in tech infrastructure. That is a unique position. And of course, our friends at BCG have predicted this will be the fastest growing region for fintech and financial services technology. So this is phenomenal to watch and see. And of course, now you see the rest of the world starting to react. Revolut and Nubank, two of the world's biggest neobanks, have announced their market entry. But of course, your homegrown regional powerhouses are now expanding. You do now have companies that are resonating in the Anglosphere, in Singapore, that you're hearing about. This is a hub that is starting to get onto 2 feet and stand with its chest back and say, we have arrived. But how do you become the best? I think that's a fair question. So I believe the thesis of the future is AI agents will need to move money and will need to transact to be valuable. And in order to do that, they need finance infrastructure and identity infrastructure. Fortunately, you're already positioning to be a global AI powerhouse. So the AI infrastructure will eventually come, even though people are worried about it being slow. But what comes next? Imagine you have an AI agent, like a personal assistant, that is booking your flight. And you send to ChatGPT or something like it, hey, Siri, book me a flight, please. Your AI agent will then process that request and say, OK, I'm going to take your credentials, your identity, from this secure bit of your device, your locker. Then I'm going to look up a flight, and I'm going to give it your passport and your personally identifiable information in a secure way so that we can book and pay for your flight, and then we're going to store the tickets for your flight in your wallet. Hey, book me a flight, please. OK, sir, here are your options. I'd like this one. Booked, paid for, in your wallet, you're ready to board the flight. I want that future. You want that future. There's a few things we need. Your AI agent needs a secure place to live like your device. You need a digital identity infrastructure that can permission that agent to do things on your behalf. And then you need the ability to authenticate and transact. And all of these things are being built, but all of these things will need innovation from startups, and all of these things will need mandates and regulation in order to be able to succeed. I see a few photos being taken, so I'm going to pause while you guys do that. You got it. Digital wallets are what help us manage identity and payments. And this is a very Anglo-centric view of the world. But what you're starting to see is everybody from Apple to Visa to Klarna to Shopify to the banks themselves are now moving away from the account as the center of gravity to the digital wallet that stores my passport, that stores my identity, that stores my agent. Fascinating. This is where it's going. But they need standards. Think of it like UAE Pass, but without the app. That standard could exist anywhere. So once you have identities on devices, once you have standards, you unlock this future. So fundamentally, if you focus on identity and finance infrastructure, that's how you get the nice things we talk about, AI commerce. So how does MENA and the UAE become the fintech hub for the AI century? First, we're going to evaluate the existing hubs. Then we're going to give you a bit of a gap analysis. This is one British guy's opinion. That's my disclaimer. And a vision for what you need to do next in one British guy's opinion, with a blog that a lot of people read. But, you know, turns out having opinions and being British, people still like to listen. OK, hub evaluation. The 5 factors to becoming a fintech and AI hub are, not surprisingly, a good ecosystem, talent, government support, PR and mindshare. I'm going to go on about this one a lot, and livability. So, for example, San Francisco, its ecosystem is undefeated. If you want to meet a founder or investor, it's the best place to be. New York, very strong. London, pretty good. Talent, San Francisco and the Bay Area, undefeated. You will meet just world-class people there wherever you go, but the government support is 0. It is terrible. They do what they do in spite of their government, not because of it. PR and mindshare, pretty good. New York does well, and in the fintech and finance sphere, somehow people keep talking about London, even though for the last 4 or 5 years, as somebody who lives in London, it's been like, eh. So that's a real superpower. And then, of course, livability. I'm not a big fan of the Bay. You've got to drive everywhere. It's OK. But people choose to live there because of lots of different reasons. Now, I think Hong Kong and Singapore are possibly the best metaphors for the UAE and the regions you have here, because they're sort of 5 years ahead in developing a fintech ecosystem. You would see that the investors and the angels and luck in both countries are really, really strong. But what I give them both a 5 out of 5 for is the government support, the policy development, the active promotion of hubs, the active promotion of new regulations. The rules Singapore just passed on dealing with scams, I would highlight as world-class. The UK just passed a law, and everybody's talking about it, a new rule under the PSR. It's not very good. But the Singapore model, a month later, is way better. So I would say that you need the ecosystem so that you generate the flywheel. Think about all of the people coming out of PayPal to build new companies. Once you can start telling that story, things get amazing. And I think you will get there, but you're a few years away from having that happen just yet. Talent. Funny how Europe's Mistral is expanding into Silicon Valley to get more staff. Once you get the talent, then they form the company, they follow the capital, who follows the talent, and so on. You've got to get these flywheels really, really humming. Government support and enablement. I'm giving the win here to the UAE because in the last 4 or 5 years, how you guys have put together your investment support with your regulatory innovation and with national infrastructure has become the case study, especially around what ADGM has done with digital assets. You are the case study, and I'm not saying that because I'm here. I'm saying that because I would say it to anyone in any room, anywhere around the world, it is the best. But PR and mindshare, this is an area where I think really there's an opportunity, because somehow London just keeps popping up and people keep talking about it, and it's one of the best branded cities in the world, even though living there is not what it used to be, even though the investment is terrible, even though the regulation has got a little bit slower. These are all personal opinions. I'm a very proud Brit. You should come hang out, and I'll happily make dinner for you. But what we're really, really good at is putting guys on stage like me who say things. And for some reason, the world likes that. How do you get more of that? How do you tell the story more? I have some ideas. And then livability. I think, you sort of, where do you want to be when you're not working? That's always the key question. So this is how I've benchmarked it, looking at the UAE and the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. I got to say that your ecosystem and your investment side, got to give you something very strong there. Talent is the best talent in the world moving here. I keep talking to people who are talking, certainly from Europe, moving in this direction. Government support, unquestionable, excellent. Could it go faster? Could it have a little bit more Doge energy? Possibly. Possibly it could go a little bit faster, but that's always a tension. That's always a tension to trade off. But this is your opportunity, is the PR and mindshare. The amount of sort of media I have seen here that I would not see anywhere else in the world is astonishing. And this is where, if you are going to attract the flywheels we spoke about earlier, there's an opportunity to kind of punch through. And I have some suggestions on how you might do that. And then livability. Look, it's hot here a lot, but it has massively improved over the last decade. And you can look at the studies of the expat population to understand why. It's becoming one of the most livable places, one of the safest places on Earth. So you can't really question that at this stage. And the reason I put the arrows here is because the trend is upwards. But if you want to go from really good to great, here are my suggestions. Create standards to place ID cards in digital wallets. And I'm going to give this one, weirdly, to the US government. So NIST has published a standard for the provision of identities into any digital wallet. So if I wanted to have my wallet in my identity in my Fab1 wallet, or my ACBD wallet, or my neobank wallet, I would follow that standard, and I could provision a driver's license or a passport into that wallet. That unlocks innovation. It really means that now the government doesn't have to top-down do everything. It can manage through the standards how identity happens. Build a framework for AI agent ownership and payments. Interestingly, Australia has a legal framework for not just consumer data rights, which cover open banking, open finance, and kind of data access from banking, but any data that's held anywhere central, the consumer data right covers. But here's the other thing they've just added. They've also added action initiation. This is a standard that allows AI agents to automatically switch your utility provider. If an AI agent, if software, finds you a cheaper price somewhere else, you can give it permission under this legal framework to switch that on your behalf. It is like having a personal assistant. Now, of course, there will be questions about what happens if something goes wrong. Go read the standard. There's a lot of thought gone into it. Make company creation digital. How many companies have been created, and are you measuring the formation rate of new companies? Because if you can collapse that, then that would be phenomenal. Just get rid of the paperwork, get rid of the friction in setting up a company, and try and bring down the cost wherever possible. Stripe Atlas is actually built by Stripe. It's a private sector thing, but you literally click a few buttons, and for $1,000, you've got yourself an LLC or a C Corp out of Delaware or Wyoming. Estonia has a model here where you can do e-residency and business setup. Imagine if I could be a resident of the UAE and set up a business digitally, entirely digitally, just clicking buttons. Yes, okay, there's laws why you might want somebody to come visit the country if I wanted to become a full resident, but Estonia has gone a different way. So how aggressive do you want to be on that spectrum? It's kind of interesting. And then can you create an identity around those agents where they operate as a business? And then last but not least, create a national target for digital-only GDP and AI-first comment. And the thing I want to leave you with is Tell the story with B2B creators. Finfluencers are not just for consumers, they're for business audiences too. Please, please subscribe to fintechbrainfood.com. I'll shortly be releasing a 110-page slide pack on all of these thoughts and a lot more. Thank you very much.